Greetings everyone, Joseph Kursky here with you to talk about week number 1 of GIS 4630, Public Domain Data for GIS at the University of Denver. I'm really excited about this course and I hope you are too. It's a unique kind of a course that really gets into the whys and hows of data, which is really integral to making decisions with geospatial information, as you well know. Now let's get started with week number 1, where we'll talk about course objectives, reviewing how GIS acts behind the scenes in our everyday lives, sort of like an elevator. You know, you just expect it to work, but you don't really think too much about it. That's what we're going to get into in week number 1. Also, I'd like to hear from you in terms of how you are planning to use spatial data in your own academic endeavors or on the job. Also, we'll describe the characteristics of spatial data. What makes it different from other kinds of data out there? And then we'll start digging into some hands-on activities to access and use public domain spatial data from some national data portals. We will also begin networking with each other, which is an important key to success in GIS. That networking component is so important. Now, our lab exercise will give you additional practice not only in downloading and formatting spatial data from several different portals, but also in using those data to begin grappling with a real-world problem inside a GIS on the subject of invasive species. So what we're going to do here is I'd like you to dig into the following. Please watch the introductory course video. Yes, you're watching week 1, but I also have one on the entire course itself. I encourage you to watch that. Also, I'd like you to read Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 in your textbook, the GIS Guide to Public Domain Data, which will provide context for our course and start you into thinking about the nature of spatial data and how public domain data fits into GIS and why it's important to you, I think, to be familiar with data and its implications for your work in GIS. Then in Chapter 2, Issues and Sources of Vector Data. Note that a section of Lab 1 deals with Volunteer Geographic Information, VGI, and crowdsourcing. So reading that section of the book will be helpful for Lab 1. Please do begin the following to begin networking with your colleagues, which again is a very important component to success in any field, GIS in particular. So introduce yourself, describe how you may have used spatial data and GIS in the past, and what your goals are for this course. Also, watch and respond to GIS Touches Our Everyday Lives on the following website. What's your reaction to this animation? Have you experienced GIS in your everyday life, and if so, how? Skim some of the pages in the annual ESRI map books on the following URL. These map books are the best of the best, if you will. They're available in printed format from ESRI Press as well, but they represent some of the best user-submitted content on a wide variety of different disciplines, scales, and issues. Public safety, environment, city planning, natural resources, you name it, it's in there. Now, first of all, does the variety of ways that GIS is applied surprise you? Why or why not? Also, which applications of GIS are you most interested in? Is it crime mapping? Is it wildfire mapping? What is it? And then select one map title in this map museum site that you believe uses some public domain spatial data. Give the title of the map and indicate the sources of the public domain data that was used. If you'd like to examine other GIS applications, see the ESRI industry pages on the following website. Also, here are some other websites that you might be able to look at that you might find interesting. Let's get into lab number 1. It's called Assessing Citizen Science Portals and Analyzing Citizen Science Data in Invasive Species Using GIS. Now, in this exercise, you'll have an opportunity to assess the utility of some different citizen science portals and also to analyze data from different organizations' portals on invasive species using GIS. As a part of the exercise, you will start to use public domain spatial data from the USGS and other sources. Now, this exercise contains 6 work packages, a wide variety of questions. Now, these questions are both technical and reflective. I want you to think about what you're doing. I don't want you to just go step by step through a bunch of activities, click, 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 and turn it in, and here it is. I want you to think about the steps that you're using, the projections that you're using, the data that you're using, the data quality, and how the data impacts your final decision on the invasive species of zebra mussels. So the context is invasive species. And it's become a global concern, right, with the increased awareness of the importance of biodiversity and the ease at which biodiversity can become disturbed. Now, how and where biodiversity is affected by any phenomenon that varies in time and space, people, climate, the invasive species themselves, they all lend well to GIS-based analysis. So in this lab, you're going to examine the source, the method of movement, and the dispersal mechanisms of invasive species, specifically zebra mussels. But think broader. Think about other invasive species that are of concern, whether it's kudzu or purple loosestrife or even an animal species, okay? The problem scenario that I give you is that you've been hired by the U.S. government Environmental Protection Agency to analyze the situation using geographic information systems as one of your primary toolkits. I hope that's of interest. All right, let's get started. I'll see you online, and I hope you enjoy Week 1 of GIS 4630, GIS and Public Domain Data. Thanks.